Hi everyone! In this video we're going to talk to you about our experience flying with our dog from Mexico to El Salvador. If you haven't watched our previous video, please make sure you do, because we have another video regarding our trip from Montreal in Canada to Mexico City. When we decided to travel from Mexico to El Salvador, we had to once again gather proper documents for our dog so that he could fly with us and be with us in the cabin on the airplane. So the first thing we did was just to find a clinic near the place that we were staying, and we went there. It was actually very easy. The doctor, the clinic, they were very friendly. You could even communicate with them through WhatsApp. And we went there for a consultation to obtain a health certificate for our dog. The cost for the consultation and the health certificate was 650 Mexican pesos. And we went there for the appointment. They did all the checks that they had to do. They verified. In fact, it's very general. It's nothing complicated. Basically, they checked the history of the vaccination for the dog and everything else, just a general checkup. And the next day, we have to go to pick up the certificate because they need to register all the information and the document that they give you with the government. So the next day, we went and we picked up the health certificate for our dog. And we were ready to continue with our travel plans, flying from Mexico to El Salvador. However, there was one more step that we had to take care of, and that was calling the airline company and adding our dog to our itinerary. This part was the responsibility of Mariana, and there were a little bit of hiccups. So she's gonna talk about that.
So when we had the ticket to fly from Mexico to El Salvador, we started getting information on how to add the dog in the ticket, because first you have to buy the ticket and then add the dog to the ticket. In the Avianca's website, you have three options. You can call them. You can go to use your sales representative who sold you the ticket, or you can go to an office to actually pay for the fee and include the dog in your trip. We actually went.
We tried.
We went to an office, a Avianca office in Mexico City, and they didn't even want to touch anything in our ticket because we bought our ticket through Air Canada or through Aeroplan, our points plan that we have from Canada. So they told us that no, we cannot do anything. You can call them and then try to do that over the phone. So after a few call attempts, in one day, I was actually able to do the whole process of including the dog into our ticket. But it just took me 5 hours on the phone with Avianca and 6 different people I talked to. In the end, I had to actually use the option of to talk to somebody in Brazilian Portuguese, and then they were able to resolve all the issue that I don't even know why was an issue, because I just wanted to pay the fee to include the dog in our ticket. The fees were 125 US dollars, and then and the funny part is that in the end, when I received the email with the receipt of payment, the person that I was talking to was in Toronto, actually speaking with me in Brazilian Portuguese. But I was like, if I knew that the person was in Toronto, I could just have called Toronto and talk to the person directly and not take me 6 people and 5 hours later. It was from 2 p.m. until, oh my God, yeah, it was
7 p.m.
Almost 7 p.m. because the day was very sunny when we start the whole thingy, and then it was already dark when we finally were able to say, okay, close the chapter. This is done. But it took us like for a long time. But it's the best way to do this. Like call before over the phone, include the dog in your ticket. So then at the airport you don't need to do that. To go through and pay again and all of that. So when you get to the check-in, everything is done and it goes very smooth.
Yeah. And for us, it was also a good loophole that we could use because Mariana speaks Portuguese. Because other options that they give you when you call, it's only like mostly we were using the English option. And the wait time for that, it was like always too long. So then I told her, well, but they're giving the option of Spanish and Portuguese. So this time try Portuguese, and it actually worked. It was good.
Another thing, I'm going to include the link for the clinic where we went to get the health certificate. Because it was very smooth. They did what they were supposed to do. They gave us the document and everything like according to what was requested from El Salvador, and everything went very smooth. So I'm going to include the link of the clinic because if you are in Mexico City and you need the clinic for that, they are very reliable. Then
we went to the airport in Mexico City before our flight. They didn't like make any issues with the dog. Like they didn't weigh him. They didn't, because sometimes like we have heard some stories that at the airport they measure the dog, they weigh the dog and all that. Nothing like that at all. And at the Avianca counter, we just did the check-in, and then we went to do the security check. But as soon as we got to the beginning of the line for the security part of the airport, they looked at our boarding passes and said, "But where is your dog? It's not mentioned on your boarding pass that you have a dog." And I was like, "But I specifically mentioned at the counter." Anyway, we went back to the counter, and by now there was a huge line. So I had to just go from the side and talk to the gentleman that was there. I said, "Look, I think he was actually doing a training or something, because he was, even for our ticket, boarding pass, it took him a while to issue the boarding pass and resolve the issues." And then he just by hand, his supervisor just by hand wrote on our boarding pass, "Petting cabin." And okay, that was it. We could have done that ourselves. Exactly. Next time I'm gonna just write "petting cabin" myself on my boarding pass, and that's fine. Yes. Don't do that, okay? I'm just joking. So we went back to the security, and everything was smooth. Like as I mentioned in our previous video about traveling with our dog, at the security, when you are going through the check, they remove the dog from the bag. You have to remove the leash, the collar, and everything. This time in Mexico, even though we carried our dog with us and went through the metal detector, there was one officer that also checked the dog, like touched the dog, just to make sure that there's nothing like hidden under the fur or something. I don't know. And she even joked that, he's a little bit overweight. It's a gordito dog. And so I said, yeah, he's a little bit spoiled by his parents. But it was very smooth. It was done, and it was very, very easy. After the security, we did all the security and everything, and we walked through the whole terminal with him. He was not inside the bag at all. Nobody made a big deal that the dog has to be inside the bag. Exactly the opposite of the treatment that we got at our home country in Canada with Air Canada, that he had to always stay inside the bag. But because of our previous experience, when we were boarding, I put him inside the bag. Then we got to our seat, and the gentleman, the flight attendant, he was in love with him. And he said, "No, don't worry, you don't need to put him inside the bag." And he can come out, and I will put some pictures also of him like sitting on our laps. He had a blast. He really enjoyed that flight because he was not inside the bag. He was all the time, even I think during landing, he was still he was on her lap, and very smooth, extremely sweet people on the plane, at the terminal, like amazing experience. And it got even better when we arrived in El Salvador. It was the same treatment and very nice. Now Mariana is going to talk about after you arrive in El Salvador.
So when we arrived in San Salvador, the same thing, like we don't need to put the dog back in the bag, like he was walking with us all the time, just on the leash. But we didn't need to worry about the bag or anything else. But I'm gonna put the link of the bag that we are using to travel with him in the description, so you can check it out. But you just need, in El Salvador, you just need to go again to the agricultural office to pay for the fee. It's an import fee. It was $9. And then the officer that was there in the office, it was extremely nice, very polite, very pleasant. He did all the paperwork that we needed to have our dog in El Salvador, and he even gave us his WhatsApp number if we need anything, like any paper and documents or anything that we might need to leave after El Salvador to get out of the country, because then you have to pay for an export permit. So he put himself available to communicate with him through his WhatsApp number if we need anything from him.
Can I just add something?
Yes, of course.
This is what I absolutely love about Latin American countries. People are genuinely nice. They really care and they really want to help. Like the person at the airport that did our paper, giving us his own personal cell phone number so we could communicate with him through WhatsApp. And he specifically said, this is my name, this is my phone number, in case when you're leaving even, you go to a clinic and they want to prepare the documents and they're not sure what they need to put on that document, you can have them call me and I explain everything to them. I was shocked. I was like, so that they can just help you. They just make themselves available to help you. This is amazing.
Yes. So that was our experience traveling from Mexico to El Salvador with our dog, our pet in the cabin. It was a very good experience, and like I have nothing to complain about it. It's just like very smooth, much better than we thought.
Yeah. So the lesson is just be prepared. Get your documents together and everything is going to be smooth. Now, this is it for this video. If you like this video, please remember to subscribe to our channel and give it a like. And stay tuned for more videos like this when we talk about our other trips that we did in Latin America with our dog and what we had to do for other countries when we decided to travel with our dog in the cabin.